What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Gatekeepers podcast. I'm here with Knives and Cam. What is up, guys? And today, what we're going to talk about is composition, or more specifically, the techniques we use to get our compositions that we really like. So, everybody, real quick, what is your favorite composition type?
Did he just glitch?
Was that just me?
No,
Oh, you're back. Sorry. This happens. Riverside's going to record everything you just said, and we're going to look like dumbasses at the end. But it skipped
That's
for
great.
us. For
I
like
love it.
10 seconds.
I love it. I love it. So there was a glitch. I'm
Because-
guessing. I was looking in the camera. I was looking at our audience. If
Yeah,
they're watching it on
it's good to
YouTube,
see
if they're
everybody.
listening to it on Spotify, you can't see shit. Okay, what's
And they
your
heard
what's your
everything
favorite
regardless.
things? Right. What's your favorite way techniques to employ when you're getting a composition, guys? Cam, why don't you go first?
Oh man, sorry, that was funny.
One of those days. It's been one of those.
That was funny because I don't know if you saw it, David, but
I
Knives
didn't.
saw it. It's like you glitched, and then we just kind of stuck. I'm like,
I was waiting for you to say something first.
Oh, like it's a really comical scene. It's like something goes wrong. Like it's like basically like somebody's talking blah blah blah, and they get hit with a tree, and the two people are standing there like, did that just happen?
Word.
That's what that moment was for me right there. So composition. Composition. Whew. I think one of the techniques that I honestly put into perspective, or like the main thing that I really go for, is either leading lines. I'm always looking for my leading lines. As long as it's pointing somewhere or everything's pointing to a specific point, or my subject is like either dead center in the middle, like dead center, like everything's pointing to the subject in the dead center, or sometimes I'll put them off to the side. I can actually show you a quick example, but those are some of the techniques I know I go for.
So like you offset them to like the lower third or the upper third,
No.
or let me see.
How well you're gonna see that one? Oh, it's
doing
not gonna
manual?
focus right now.
I think you're
Nah,
on
it's
manual
not
focus
doing it.
right now.
Nah, it's not doing
Ah,
it.
wait.
There it is.
There it is. Yay.
Oh, I see.
Gotcha. Okay, I see what you
Yeah.
mean now. I see what you mean now. All right, cool. Knives. What is your composition go-to, so to speak?
Oh, great question. So, I'm going to speak mainly on video. I won't be long-winded about it. My favorite composition, my go-to composition, which is weird that I just used this in an interview a couple days ago, and it was a really alien technique to the person being interviewed, and that's subjective POV. So what does that mean? The best example that I always kind of go to, the guy that kind of popularized this, was Jonathan Demme, the guy who directed Silence of the Lambs. You can recall Hannibal Lecter, Anthony Hopkins looking directly into the camera. He's looking at it. He's looking at us. He's looking at Clarice, who's behind the camera. Cut to, you see her. She's looking at the camera, and there's a magical thing that's happening in between those cuts, right? And I love that composition. You always see interviews where you got to follow the eye line, right? Like
Yeah.
of the person asking doing the interview, and then where your camera is. There's usually like a 15-degree sort of a hot spot that you can play with there. But any chance I get, if I can have the person talk as if it's like a Netflix documentary, I feel like that's more engaging. It feels like they're talking to me as an audience, but I find, and I'm so used to talking to a lens, this monolithic thing. I've noticed most people are like, what do you mean talk to the lens? I don't get it. And I'm like, what do you mean? It's just talk to the lens.
If you're watching it, if you're listening, you won't be able to see what I'm saying. But if you look at me, I'm looking directly into the lens. That's what he means by talk to the lens. That's what it is.
So the other way to collect, I know what you mean. I know David knows what you mean. A lot of people don't know what it means, but what I normally tell them is I still tell them to talk to the lens, like look directly into that circle part, like this thing that I'm touching, or you can see where my finger is.
Yeah.
Like literally look into the soul of the camera, or look at the person you're freaking talking to.
I like that. Look into the soul of the camera. That is unnecessarily artsy, and
almost,
I like that.
I like it, and it works with actors, but it doesn't work with your average person, your
Yeah.
manager at a corporate whatever.
So,
whatever.
but, yeah, because like those type of people, like actors, you can get creative
all
what the
day.
heck you're going to
All
say
day.
all day, and they're going to. But like somebody who's very average, you just have to be very specific. Like, look right here, you dummy, right here.
Yeah, I know.
There is this glass element.
That's one of my
look
go-to favorite compositions. Is that, especially with a wide-angle lens, it's a very Netflixy
did
sort
it.
of true crime documentary thing. that goes
Gotcha.
on. It's gonna keep happening. Sorry, David, but
No, it's not a big deal.
yeah, that's one of my favorite go-tos. It's called subjective
Okay.
POV. I use it in film quite a bit, but I also use it in sort of documentary corporate work because I think it adds a style to it, but it's just so minimal. Like it's just a dollop of something interesting.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
I start there
so-
because the usual, they're talking off to the camera and that sort of thing, and they're being interviewed, and the lower third's over here, super uninspiring and uninteresting to me.
I agree with you.
Okay. So I have a question I want to ask, but I want to let David throw out his answer first.
Oh, my answer. Oh, yes. The biggest thing that I have found myself, I used to really like leading lines. I hate leading lines. I'm sick and tired of leading lines, actually. I think that it's so rudimentary at this point that it's almost becoming derivative. Every artist is kind of ripping each other off with the leading lines thing. And
Straight
I'm kind of
shots
sick
at
and
my
tired
answer,
of it.
but I'll take it.
What'd you say?
That's just straight shots at my answer, but I'll take it.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
Sorry. I stand by it, though. I stand by it.
I
Not
know.
not necessarily your work. You know this. Not necessarily your work. Just it's so easy. Leading lines is the easiest one to understand. I like the harder things, and I've grown more accustomed to getting used to them, which is space and form, and the way those two are related to each other within the frame, and that just. I don't know. I think that there's something like far more interesting about the relationship between something that is really small in the frame and something that's really big in the frame, and how the light is affecting both of them at the same time. You know what I mean?
I hear exactly what you're saying. I agree with one thing that you really did say is that leading lines is easy to understand.
It's so easy
But
to understand. Yeah.
But it's not easy to perfect.
No, it's art. It's never going to be perfected.
So, of course, you know that. But
Yes.
but see, the other thing that I love is like you can blend the two together, leading lines and space and form.
Yes.
So, but I do agree that it is easy to understand and whatnot. Even then,
And
I still like it.
If there's any photography,
I
no,
love
there's nothing
it.
wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with
I love
loving it.
it.
There's nothing wrong with
It's
it. You do it
gorgeous.
You
It's-
do it incredibly
it's
well.
beautiful.
You
It's
do it incredibly well. You do.
Arr.
If anyone's wondering like what the hell form is if you look at my face, you'll see one side is brighter, one side is darker. How the light is shaping my face. That's form. That's what it is in a nutshell. I could do a whole thing about it, but this is not the time. So, what is the question you wanted to ask, Ken? You said you had a question you wanted to ask it after I gave my little spiel.
Yep. You gave your spiel, so let's ask this. So, actually, I got two questions, but I'm gonna ask this first one first. Is there a difference between composition in photography and composition in filmmaking or
100%.
videography?
100%.
Let me finish. He just straight fire.
I already
think there's more to
go
this
on.
question, but continue.
Okay, go on. I'm sorry for jumping down your throat. I'm sorry. Go on. Go
You
on.
did it.
sorry,
Are there any instances that you would say where a photography composition really does complement a filmmaking composition? Because we already know there are filmmaking compositions that definitely complement photography compositions, but do you feel as though there are any from photography that can complement filmmaking or videography?
David.
Cam, I lost you. Say that again. Cam, I lost you. I'm so sorry. I lost you. I don't know what's happening today. Today's a nightmare for this. Okay,
I don't.
what did
I can refine it. So,
what was your-
are there
Yeah.
any photography compositions that you feel as though can complement filmmaking compositions? Because we already know filmmaking compositions, can work with photography. They call it the cinematic look. Fuck off with that. Okay.
Yeah. I think that if you're looking at, you see, I feel like the use of the word cinematic in this context needs to be reversed, because when people take photos that look cinematic, they're saying, yes, okay, Knives is out for a second.
I'm
they're
here,
talking.
but guys, I don't know what the fuck is going on, but from my perspective, I've been here and I see everybody, and we're golden.
Word.
But
Okay,
please
cool.
continue. I
Anyway,
apologize. I
okay,
apologize.
no worries. Okay, so this idea of cinematic photos, right? It's photos that look cinematic, and I think that the way you're getting at this makes way more sense in this context of using something that is cinematic in a photo. And what it really comes down to is, how are you using the camera? The whole thing that makes something cinematic is the perspective it's being shot from. It doesn't matter what kind of colors you're using. It doesn't matter what kind of lighting you're using. That means nothing. The perspective is what makes something cinematic. That's why movies that are considered really cinematic masterpieces have these sweeping shots, or what we would call now drone shots, and stuff like that is what can really make something cinematic in a photo. If you take a gorgeous landscape photo from above looking down on your landscape, that is something that would be considered a cinematic shot. But if you're just taking a photo of someone in the street, that's not necessarily going to be cinematic unless you do something cinematically. Like Cam, when you took those photos of, was it the Mummers Parade, right, with your drone? Was that what it was?
Yeah.
That is cinematic, because
So,
you cannot
wanna
normally
counter.
get that. Okay,
I'd
counter.
like to counter this. I don't think photography can be cinematic. I don't think there is cinematic.
Oh no, that's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at here.
Yeah, so like the cinematic look, I don't know what that means in photography. If it's a still image,
it's dumb.
It cannot be cinematic.
It's this
Yes.
trendy thing that people love to say, yeah, I got that cinematic look. I'm like, I want to punch you in your face.
You don't have any idea what you're talking about, clearly, because photos intrinsically cannot be cinematic. That's what I'm getting at here. I'm saying it the long way. The photos can't be cinematic because they require movement. But any kind of photo that you can change the perspective on.
But that's also what I wanted to counter against, and now I'll let Cam go, please. Movement. I don't think it needs movement. I don't think cinematic necessarily means movement. I think cinematic means what's cinematic means is manipulation of time. And I know you could say movement and the manipulation of time are similar, but what I mean is,
interesting.
That's
a really good point.
I always use this example of manipulation of time. In 2001: A Space Odyssey, hopefully you guys are staying with me. The apes is beating another ape with a club, with a bone.
The famous
and then
jump cut. Match
the
cut.
jump cut. He throws the bone in the air. The bone is spinning in slow motion. That's cinematic. Slam cut to a space station. Actually, like a. That in the sky.
Yeah.
The space in between that is all of human evolution. That is cinematic. Photography can't do that. Photography doesn't have that.
That's true.
Unless you go, you can have, and so it's an experience, right? It's not. It has nothing, and that's my point. Like, there wasn't anything having to do with movement, moving the camera, drone stuff. I mean, you can call that cinematic, but the reason why it's cinematic is because it's impossible. It's a feeling. How did they do that, right? Orson Welles, Citizen Kane, how did they get those low angles? Was it because they dug holes in the ground? That was inherently cinematic. You had stuff in the foreground. You had stuff in the background. They had very deep focus. That's cinematic, right?
Yeah.
And it makes you feel something. It makes you look at 9 different things.
I agree with you.
A picture can't really do that. However,
Yes.
on the other way around, photography and beautiful composition can inform cinema.
That's true as well. That is true.
And I think the best cinema rips off the best photography, the best paintings, the best murals, the best art. Cinema rips that off and steals that and makes it, to your point, move.
Yes. Yeah.
What?
That's. Yeah. I struggle to say all of that. Yeah. Yeah.
No. I think we agree. I think
do.
I think
We agree.
I think you, David, and I agree that photography cannot be cinematic. Not by
Absolutely not even a little bit. Anytime I see something on Twitter, there was someone on Twitter. It was so mean of me. It was, but it was the same shot I've seen 100,000 times at this point on Twitter from Instagram. It's everything that I don't like about Instagram is finding its way on Twitter now, and I'm getting sick and tired of it. But it's of a lonely road in the mountains with a line down the road leading to the mountain peaks in the distance.
I know exactly what shot you're talking about too.
Yeah, exactly. And the person, the caption that this person put on this tweet was, "Sometimes you just don't know the word." And I responded to the tweet by saying derivative. That's the word I'm thinking of right now. And
God. You pinch their nose as you shat in their mouth.
I'm sorry, but it's like stuff like that. That's a photo that people go, "That's very cinematic." It is not. That is a photo everyone gets because they see it on some travel blog on Instagram. Like,
that's not cinematic at all.
I know I'm right.
Okay, so there's a lot that's been said. Some things I agree with, some things I don't. One thing we all agree with, that photos can't be cinematic. Yes. I do believe photos can give a cinema feeling to it. Not cinematic, but they can give off a cinematic feeling depending on what elements are in it. Okay? Now, are they cinema? Hell no. Let me ask you this though. Because we mentioned the idea of movements and things like that. What about time lapses?
Time lapses are movies. They're not.
Yeah.
They're not. That's a very interesting question. So, because here's the thing.
Time lapse is video.
No, it's movement. It's 24 frames a second. Can a time lapse be cinematic? Yes, because it's a moving image, moving pictures. So yes, it can be.
Now, but would you say?
Well, let Cam get this, because this is like a big through line for him.
Would you say a time lapse is a photography skill or videography skill?
I feel like you're splitting hairs for no reason here.
A photography skill. A photography
It's
skill.
a photography skill.
Because you have to master the
skill.
shutter. You have to master the shutter. You have to master the focus. You have to master the aperture. You have to master, like, have you ever taken a photo of the stars at like 30th of a second or whatever, and it's like takes forever? Like, that is photographical, right? So when you compile them and stitch them together, then you have video, then you have film, if you want to call it that, right? So that's a very tricky question. You made me think.
Like I said, I feel like you're splitting hairs for no reason.
No, it's very tricky. Like, it
was tricky. It was.
It's photography, baby. Dude, it all started with photography. People forget that, man.
No,
I'm gonna be a hipster right now. I'm gonna be a hipster. Like, as you guys know, I just got the Red, right? One thing I like about the Red is that it has a global shutter. So it takes a photo. It takes a full still every fucking second, 24 pictures a second. Whereas digital mirrorless cameras go from top to bottom. They go top to bottom. So you don't get that straight line if you're moving. The line changes if you're moving because the sensor reads top to bottom. So it's more like an old school, camera, like a Panavision film camera where it takes 24 pictures a second. And so that's cinematography. That's cinema to me. All this other stuff, it's different. Yeah. So I love that effect. It changes the game, and you have to understand photography before you can wrap your head around cinematography.
Agreed.
But now we're not talking about composition anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're making me think of just a bunch of shots from like the last 2 seasons of Breaking Bad. At this point, just almost every single one of those shots was phenomenal. Just how they did the cinematography on them.
Absolutely, man. That's an art, dude. For people like I don't think in composition. Like, when I'm writing a movie, I'm writing one right now. I'm not thinking about composition. I think about shots, and I think, like, for instance, fade in. We're in a bathroom. There's someone who's been murdered, and they're naked in a bathtub, face down. Yeah. There's a woman who's standing there watching the scene. You can see it, but, like, I haven't really illustrated the composition. I haven't told you where the camera is. But you can see it. You know what that feeling is, right? You know how that makes you feel. So I start there with an image, but I don't start. I don't know how I'm going to shoot that thing. Like, I don't know where the camera is going to be right now, right? So I don't think
you have to get a shot in between his butt cheeks. You have to.
I know you guys do, because you guys are photographers first.
Yes, that is true.
And I was going to add something. Slim, when he was on the pod. He really kind of blew our minds. Maybe not David's, but he did. I saw Cam had the same reaction that I did when he mentioned that he usually goes with a single light. I was like, wow.
I loved it. I was absolutely
I loved
happy
it
to
too.
hear that because
I
I
did
know I know a lot of people that is like, yeah, I got to bring like 4 or 5 lights. I'm like, here, like I need one.
One.
If you're bringing 4 or 5 lights, I'm wondering what you're doing with 3 of them. You know, if you have 5 lights, what are you doing with 3?
Well, so
You know?
okay, I can't because like I don't knock them for it. Like if you're bringing 4 or 5 lights, cool, that's your style. I know a guy that's how
Yeah.
he shoots. And then there's this photographer on Instagram that I follow. I think the dude uses at least 8 lights because he has to fill the room with light because he's shooting dancers and he's capturing that motion
Yeah,
as well
that
as
makes
shooting
sense.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like those moments, it makes complete sense to use 10 fucking lights and whatnot.
Yeah.
You need that much light. But if you're just doing portraits, though, for me, like if you're just shooting portraits, you really don't need more than 2. But at the same
I
time,
agree.
that's my style. That's just my style. So, once again, we're getting off of the topic of composition.
I would say we should wrap up here. And
yes,
and
we should,
Any
yeah.
any last minute, sort of things that you guys want to get in when it comes to composition?
I'm
For
sorry,
me,
I
here-
knocked
here
leading
my-
lines.
I mean, he didn't have to pinch his nose, but
I didn't do that, okay?
I will tell
literally-
you this. Here's what I'll
I
say.
gave
about
them a
composition.
word. I gave them the word they were looking for. I gave it to them. I did them a
That
favor.
was brutal. What? I wonder if you'll be this petty when you're rich and famous. I definitely.
I'll say this about a composition. I will say this: landscapes are not compositions for me.
That is. There's something so. You see.
Now he's shitting on you.
No. He's not shitting on me. It's like it depends on
He's
what you're
pissing
talking
on
about.
you
Like,
and calling it rain.
where do you come up with these idioms? Where do you come up with them? My God, that's amazing.
Some
I
of
love
us
it.
read books. Just kidding.
Yes.
No,
I don't have the
no,
attention
I'm
span
just
for that.
kidding. I'm just kidding. What I
No,
will
no,
say is I'm not interested in any image if there's not people in it. I need people.
That's
I
true.
don't care if it's just
And-
if it's just Earth. I don't care. I'm not saying it can't be beautiful. I'm not saying
Earth
it
is
can't be
beautiful.
art. I'm not
I
saying
think
it can't
that-
be challenging. But I need humans. I'm in this game for
I don't-
fucking humans'
I
faces.
think. Well, I think I'm going to say this. I think the reason why landscape photography gets such a bad rep nowadays is because it's kind of, in my opinion at least, it's really seen as the pretentious genre of photography. It
They
is.
are.
Like,
They are.
like who? I don't
they're
know.
like,
many,
yeah, I scaled 5 mountains for 3 days and 10 years to get this one shot. I could have flown over there.
All right, El Capitan, chill. All right, El Capitan, chill. But like that's kind of the thing is like people don't really, look at landscape photography as they used to. Used to be like that was all that people knew how to shoot because they had cameras and all they were like I'm gonna go out and shoot that mountain because that mountain looks cool, and. It's not really as mainstream anymore, and I think that there are very few landscape photographers nowadays that really, when I look at their landscape photography, that really pull me in. Max Rise is one of them. Todd Domini's another, but like that's really about it.
There's only one, and Max Rives is like the only one for me.
Yeah, his shit is otherworldly good. Like
Like,
it's amazing.
I really want to learn how he shoots his. I'm getting
It's
off
not.
topic.
It's not how he shoots. It's how he.
That's okay.
It's the edit. It comes down to the edit.
Same thing, but you also don't forget the way you shoot does
That is true.
impact the edit.
That is true, but also on the whole, landscape photography is not composition, not informed by composition. I think that you have a point depending on what angle you're looking at, pun intended here. Because if you're looking for like leading lines or textures or stuff like that, like you're not going to get that. But like if you're interested in how the light is
But
hitting the
colors.
mountain.
Colors can be very interesting, right? Like,
Colors can
take
be.
a
exactly
beach.
that I agree with. Like
Take a
that-
sunset on a beach. We've all
Yeah.
seen the fucking image. I understand, but if you're able to capture all that dynamic rain on a very, very cloudy day, and the
Yeah.
sun's peeking through, and you got the silver linings, and et cetera, and like the waves are doing something, like that is that was composed.
Yeah. But also at the same.
was it composed or did the person honestly just show up and it was there?
There's also that. That's the next thing I was going to say. Like,
Here's how you
Yeah.
know it was composed. Tell someone else to do that. Not everybody can do that.
Yeah, because nature don't do the same shit twice.
Well, what I mean is our moms with their iPhones can't do that.
Huh?
All right, gentlemen. You know what? I'm gonna interject here so we can wrap this up. We can duke this out in person when we all get together at some point. And I got my money on Knives.
Not
though,
my
for
hill
some
to
reason.
die on.
Not your hill to die on. I don't know, man. It seems like a
I'm
pretty
here
comfy
really
hill.
more as a student to listen to you guys. Leading lines. I wrote that down. I was like, oh, I learned something today.
Oh God, no! Please learn something else.
I want to thank everybody for listening to the podcast. You can follow Cameron Stroud on Instagram, Images by Cam, and you can follow him on TikTok. Cam, help me out here.
I think it's What's Up, Cam. I don't know anymore.
There it is. And you can follow David Legowski on TikTok at
And
the David
Instagram.
Legowski.
Yeah.
At
It was
David
What's Up, Cam
Legowski.
Zero.
He's the fucking man. I want to thank you guys so much. Thank you so much for listening. If you're listening to this on Spotify, if you're watching this on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe. Do all the things. We'll catch you guys next time.
Yeah, it is What's Up, Cam
Deuces.
Zero.
It is What's Up, Cam Zero.
Really quick before you end this, so you can properly color grade my end here. Here's a white card. Here's a white card.
Wow. Okay,
There you
thanks.
go. No, because before I was using a orange gel in this light, and I think the colors
Bro,
when I was looking at it, I was like,
I just slap a 709 LUT on it, man. That's all. I
oh,
do,
that's
bro.
what you do? Oh, okay, well then
That's all
never
I do.
mind.
I don't
Okay, cool. I
grade.
thought you
I'm not
thought
gonna
you were
grade
do-
this. I'm gonna grade it.
Obviously,
And Cam, I never even touched Cam.
I don't think you ever had to
Oh
do
yeah,
anything
Cam
about
doesn't need to be touched. Yeah, Cam's great.
No, this thing films in log. I think my Panasonic.
Yeah,
but
mine too.
anyways,
So do we want to get a thumbnail for this?
it. I would say I don't.
guys,
know
we're
yet.
still recording. We never said bye.
What?
This is
We
still
never
the
said
episode.
bye. Why? Why would you do this? Why?
All
would you
right,
do
thanks
this to
everybody.
me?
Bye. Peace. Deuces.
Peace. We did say bye. Wait, we did say bye.
We never
did.
said bye.
Yes, we did. I know we did because I put.
We still haven't. Say
we
deuces
have.
already.
Deuces.